Why aging accelerates after success. Success is supposed to be stabilizing. Goals are reached. Pressure eases. Control increases. And yet, for many people, aging speeds up precisely after things start going well. The acceleration is quiet and counterintuitive, hidden behind the comfort and satisfaction that success brings. It contradicts the story most people tell themselves about what happens when struggle ends. Researchers first noticed this pattern in high-achieving groups: executives, entrepreneurs, professionals who reach long-term goals earlier than expected. Their external stress decreased, but biological aging markers quietly worsened. The worsening was not dramatic. It appeared in subtle shifts, markers that moved in the wrong direction, despite every external condition moving in the right one. These individuals were sleeping in better beds, eating better food, and working fewer hours, yet their biology told a different story. To understand why this mattered, scientists had to look past workload and into structure. Because success often removes struggle, but it also removes edges. Deadlines soften, urgency fades. Life becomes smoother, but also less defined. The sharp contours that once organized daily experience dissolve into a landscape without landmarks. The body, which relied on those contours to calibrate its cycles of effort and recovery, loses its reference points. The body depends on contrast, effort followed by rest, challenge followed by resolution. In early striving, those contrasts are clear. After success, effort becomes optional. Rest becomes ambiguous. The boundary between the two blurs until neither is fully experienced. The body does not interpret this blur as peace. It interprets it as a loss of signal, a condition in which the cues that once governed biological rhythm have become unreliable. This ambiguity confuses the nervous system. There is no clear signal that effort has ended, but no clear demand either. The body stays lightly engaged, unsure whether to invest or conserve. The light engagement is not stressful in the traditional sense. It does not produce the sharp spikes of cortisol associated with acute challenge. Instead, it produces a low-grade, persistent alertness that prevents the body from entering the deeper states of recovery where repair and renewal occur. Biological data reflected this shift. Sleep lost depth, recovery slowed, inflammation lingered. Aging accelerated not from pressure, but from uncertainty. The data was consistent across different kinds of success, whether financial, professional, or personal. The common factor was not the type of achievement, but the structural void it left behind. What made this especially deceptive was comfort. Success felt good. Life felt easier. Few suspected that biology was quietly recalibrating toward preservation. The recalibration was not a failure. It was an adaptation to ambiguity, a conservative response by systems that could not determine whether the current calm was permanent or temporary. In the absence of clear information, the body chose caution over investment. The moment after success often looks like relief, but for the body, it can feel like instability. Relief without structure is experienced by the nervous system not as safety, but as uncertainty wearing a pleasant mask. And once that instability settles in, aging begins to move differently than it did before. As researchers followed people through post-success phases, the pattern became clearer. Aging accelerated not because demands disappeared, but because structure dissolved. During periods of striving, goals are explicit. Timelines exist. Effort has direction. After success, those markers often vanish. Days lose urgency. Roles blur. The nervous system loses a clear map. Without a map, the body cannot distinguish between different kinds of time. Every hour feels the same. And that sameness is biologically costly because it eliminates the contrast the body needs to regulate itself. Biologically, this creates ambiguity. The body cannot tell whether to push forward or power down. Stress does not spike, but it does not fully resolve either. Vigilance lingers in a muted form. The muted vigilance is harder to detect than acute stress, but over time it proves more damaging because it never triggers the alarm that would motivate change. People adapt to it, and the adaptation itself becomes part of the problem. This state proved costly over time. Hormonal rhythms flattened, motivation dipped, recovery slowed, even though pressure was lower. The body behaved as if waiting for the next challenge that never clearly arrived. The waiting was not conscious. It was systemic, a posture maintained by the nervous system in the absence of clear direction. Researchers noticed that individuals who aged better after success replaced pressure with purpose. New responsibilities, new forms of contribution, clear expectations that restored direction. The replacement was not about recreating the intensity of earlier striving. It was about restoring the structural clarity that striving had provided, giving the body a reason to cycle between engagement and recovery. Those who did not experience drift, comfort without necessity, freedom without form. Biology responded by conserving rather than renewing. Conservation is the body's default response to uncertainty, a strategy that prioritizes survival over growth. In the short term, it is harmless. Over years, it produces the gradual narrowing of capacity that defines accelerated aging. The key insight was uncomfortable. Success removes constraints, but biology needs them. Without clear demands and clear endings, systems do not know when to invest in repair. This reframed the post-success slowdown many people feel. It was not loss of drive, it was loss of structure. And once structure disappeared, aging quietly picked up speed, unnoticed behind comfort. The conflict emerges when success collides with identity. For years, effort defined the story. Goals provided meaning. Striving organized time. Then suddenly the struggle ends. The identity that was built around overcoming obstacles loses its foundation, and with it, the biological rhythms that the identity had sustained. Modern culture celebrates this moment: arrival, freedom, choice. But biologically, arrival without redefinition creates a vacuum. The body senses the absence of necessity. It does not interpret the absence as reward. It interprets it as ambiguity, a state in which the rules have changed, but the new rules have not yet been written. Researchers observed that individuals who struggled most after success were not ungrateful or unmotivated. They were unanchored. Roles that once demanded adaptation disappeared. No new structure replaced them. The disappearance was gradual, each small reduction in demand barely noticeable, until the cumulative loss left the nervous system without a clear framework for organizing effort and recovery. In this vacuum, stress did not vanish. It transformed. Instead of urgency, there was vigilance. Instead of pressure, there was waiting. The nervous system stayed alert, unsure what came next. The alertness was not the productive alertness of someone facing a challenge. It was the aimless alertness of a system that has lost its coordinates. Attempts to fill the gap often failed. Leisure without responsibility did not restore direction. Travel without purpose entertained, but did not engage. The body remained in a holding pattern. The holding pattern consumed energy without producing the sense of completion that would have allowed the body to transition into recovery. Hobbies helped pass time, but did not provide the structural weight that biology recognizes. What the nervous system needed was not stimulation, but necessity, the sense that something depended on the body remaining capable, and that effort would be met with a definitive conclusion. Those who aged better made a different move. They reintroduced constraint, new commitments, new forms of service, clear roles that restored necessity. The constraints were not burdens. They were anchors, providing the nervous system with the structural information it needed to distinguish effort from rest and to allocate resources accordingly. The reintroduction did not need to happen all at once. Even a single role that carried genuine consequence was enough to begin restoring the rhythm that success had dissolved. When identity regained shape, biology followed. Recovery improved, sleep deepened, aging markers stabilized. The body responded not to comfort, but to relevance. Relevance told the body that it was still needed, that maintaining capacity served a purpose, and that the investment in repair would be used. The conflict, then, is not success itself. It is what happens when success removes the structures that once told the body how to live. And in a world that treats arrival as the end of effort, that conflict has become increasingly common. The climax of this story is the realization that success does not automatically signal safety to the body. In many cases, it signals uncertainty. The body cannot distinguish between an ending that leads to something new and an ending that leads to nothing. Both feel the same at the biological level, a cessation of the familiar without a clear replacement. The difference is made only by what comes next, and when nothing comes next, the body defaults to conservation. When struggle ends without replacement, biology shifts into waiting mode. Repair slows. Investment pauses. Aging accelerates quietly, not from hardship, but from lack of direction. The quiet acceleration is what makes post-success aging so insidious. There are no warning signs that the conscious mind recognizes. Health may appear unchanged. Energy may feel sufficient. But beneath the surface, the systems responsible for renewal are operating at reduced capacity, and that reduction compounds with each passing year. The resolution is not to recreate pressure. It is to recreate structure, lives that continue to demand contribution, roles that evolve instead of disappearing, clear reasons to engage and clear moments to rest. The structure does not need to replicate the intensity of earlier years. It needs to replicate the clarity, providing the body with a legible rhythm of effort and recovery that allows biological systems to function as they were designed. What the body requires is not difficulty, but definition, the knowledge that today's effort serves a purpose and that tomorrow will ask something specific of it. Longevity thrives on meaningful constraint, not endless striving, but purposeful demand. The body ages most gently when it knows why it must stay capable. That knowledge is not intellectual. It is structural, embedded in the rhythms and responsibilities that organize each day and give the nervous system a map it can follow. Modern culture promises freedom after success. Biology asks a different question. What now? And when that question remains unanswered, time begins moving faster than expected. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future. Why